Yo, what's up guys, welcome back. So, recently Konami, what was it, earlier today, Konami announced a new event for Master Duel, and Light versus Dark, so again very similar to the event we've had before, right? At least our previous event where it was basically Labyrinth, everyone was running that particular deck. The deck is still viable for this particular event, so let's take a look. Light versus Dark. I think this is the first time you actually need to pick an attribute, and you can only build a deck featuring that attribute. So if you pick Light, you can only, play Light monsters, including extra deck. And, it works the same for Dark, but, the generic cards, trap spells, etc., they're available for everyone. Like the generic cards, evenly matched lightning storms, they're all still available for this particular event. So the most, or at least more notable cards that are banned, Shifter, for example, the Bestials, obviously, otherwise, they will be instant staples here in this particular event, particular meta. And I already spoke or said, that Labyrinth is probably again going to be a deck to beat. One of the deck has some limits, but Clock is banned for this particular event, so I like that. But the deck has more restrictions. More of that in a couple of moments. So let's take a look at the loners first. Personally, I never use the loners. I just, make my own deck and go with it. But the loners are okay. Let's see the light ones first. I won't be recommending running the lights, for example, for like Boojins and Starry Dragon or Starry Knights. It seems like a bit too slow, and how I feel that a lot of people, want to do these events is as soon as possible, right? Potentially make your deck going second, main decking Lightning Storms, evenly matched, mass board wipes in the hope that your opponent would scoop. A lot, at least that's my own experience. Then I wouldn't recommend slower decks like Boojins, Starry Dragon. More so, speaking of a slow deck, a Psyframe is a slow deck, but it's a super annoying deck. It's super reliant on its field spell as well, but it's also one of those decks that, if your opponent knows that you have the field spell and you start pumping out those extra deck monsters and start, like grinding with your Psyframes, then it might just be a quick scoop deck. So for the lights, I would probably pick Psyframes if you want. While, looking at the dark, loner decks, I feel Dark in general is more powerful for this particular event. Like much more, a bigger extra deck. You will see it within the next couple of moments. But all the three loners are okay, especially looking at Ash's band, Mexia's band. The light attributes do have access to powerful hand traps like Veiler, Nibiru, Ghost Ogre. Like those powerful hand traps. If you pick Dark, you won't have those. There are some hand traps, but not as powerful as, the light attribute. So Insectors is much more powerful, especially without Mexi, without Veiler if your opponent is playing a Dark deck. But there are some kind of dead cards in the main deck, so I'm probably not recommending the Insector deck. I think the powerful decks are here the other ones. So both Dragon Link, Time Thief, Dragon Rocket, and Orcus. Orcus is pretty much at full power, and looking at the main deck, it's pretty solid as well. So for those loners, I would probably recommend either one of those. If you don't want to build your, if you don't want to pick the loner decks, let's take a look, right? So both, either you pick light or dark, and, you're kind of forced to play those monsters with that set attribute. So let's take a look at the light monsters first. This is like a whole pile of cards that, came to mind, looked it up. A couple of decks are super powerful if you pick light, but short set, I feel that the dark decks are a bit more powerful. But I mean, stuff like Exosister or even Drytron Herald is still at full force here in the if you pick light, so that's super annoying as well. So the first thing I've already mentioned is the hand traps. If you pick light, you have access to a huge galore of hand traps. Veiler, Ghost Ogre, for example. Veiler, Ghost Ogre, Nibiru is there as well. The standard going second stuff, but it also counts for dark decks like evenly matched Lightning Storm. And the pots, I like that pot of Extravagance is limited as well. Stuff like anti-meta, you can just slap it in, and it's so powerful in this event because there is no Ash Blossom at all. Desires at 3 is, I'm not a huge fan of that. But other than that, I think the first one, at least the first deck that comes to mind is Herald. Drytron Herald, I think, is pretty much untouched. Bar, where is she? Eve is at 1. There she is, and Benten is at 1. But other than that, you have Triple Herald. The extra deck is intact with also, Arclight, and again, Manju, Senju, etc. So I feel this is a super annoying deck. So if you have the capability to run the Kaijus, I will definitely run the light Kaijus if you pick light. And there is only one dark Kaiju. Again, come back to that in a couple of moments. So Herald. Herald is going to be super, super annoying. While the second one that comes to mind is Cyber Dragons. Cyber Dragons, you know, more so, most of them are indeed light. Looking at the extra deck, you have Nova, you have Infinity as a one-off negation. The deck is always strong going second, so slapping in the standard going second stuff with evenly matched Lightning Storm. The deck is strong. The deck I feel is definitely strong, unless I'm overlooking stuff. But, you know, most of the powerful cards are indeed light for Cyber Dragons. Stuff like Trickstars maybe, but I mean, sometimes I run into Trickstars in these events and they hardly do anything. Sure, they have the trap that, you know, replenishes your hand, do burn damage, but most of the time it's just not enough. So Trickstars, maybe for some generic Link summons, but again, the Link, or at least the extra deck for light, is not as powerful as it is for dark. Another one that might be kind of strong is rank 8 dot deck. So I'm looking at Blue Eyes, I'm looking at Galaxy Eyes, you know, Galaxy Eyes, Blue Eyes, for example, you know, looking at the extra deck for potential rank 8. There is potential. I think more people have Blue Eyes access, especially from the early days. I don't. I've never played Blue Eyes here on Master Duel. But I think it's an okay option, especially, you know, in something like a weaker event, like most decks are weakened, then rank 8 is definitely an option. And last but not least, Dogmatica is an option. Again, I think this is the first time that we actually are allowed to play Dogmatica in, you know, like an event like this. But it's definitely an option. Strong deck, anti-meta, and last but not least we have Exo Sister. I believe Exo Sister is pretty much at full force. Only PAX. I think only PAX is limited, right? Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I think so. Martha is at 3, right? So yeah, I think probably more people have Exo Sister at their disposal. And, you know, you can just drop the 2 copies of PAX and add in standard going second stuff. Or, you know, generic stuff like evenly matched and stuff like that. So, that's light. Now, as for Dark, I feel I could prefer Dark a little more over the Light attribute, simply because I have more Dark decks at my disposal. I'm looking at Dark World as one of the bigger names in this event, simply because Konami decided not to hit Dangers at all. I believe the only Danger card that was hit, or limited, to 1 is Danger Mothman, but I think like Nessie is at 3, Bigfoot, Thunderbird. Yeah, I think all of them are at 3. And speaking of Nessie, and, you know, being an Aqua type, Tear Element, Tear, like all the cards here at 2. So, you know, Merly, Sharon, Arth, yeah, and I believe yeah, both the extra deck cards are also legal. So Kaleidoheart is legal, Kid Kalos is legal. So that's kind of disgusting. Tier almost at full power, yeah, you have like Scream at 3. I believe the trap was limited, one of the traps was limited to 1. So I think Tier Element or Danger, maybe featuring Orcust or something like that. Again, Orcust is also one of those featured, you know, also one of the loner decks. I could see that working, but I mean, Danger Tier already is kind of scary. And I'm looking at Dark Worlds as well, a very, very powerful Danger Dark. I mean, Dark World was powerful in the previous event versus Labyrinth, but now with Danger at its disposal, I think the big weakness of Dark World is that there is pretty much hardly any extra deck for that. And I was surprised that Anaconda was legal, so that means that you could definitely run, where is it, DPE, you know, with Fusion Destiny and Anaconda, because any 2 effect monsters can make Anaconda for DPE. So again, something for Dark World, potentially. But yeah, the extra deck is kind of weak, as Dark World would end on, does it, Appaloosa and more negations. There is hardly... You can hardly do that in this particular event. There's Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is a strong level 10 synchro. Maybe something like for Dark World, that's okay. You could run hand traps, but, you know, DD Crow, Skullmeister, those are not, you know, not on the same level as Veiler or Nip. Nip against Blackwing, and that's also another strong, you know, especially going first deck here, if you pick the Dark attribute. I could see a lot of people go for Blackwings. Blackwings is one of the stronger decks, and I think it's pretty much at full force. Same for Labyrinth. Well, Labyrinth, where is it, like, Big Welcome is at 1, and I believe one of the boss monsters is also at 1. Yeah, Lady Labyrinth is also at 1. And Clock is banned, yeah. So it's more so a slower deck, and I'm looking at, you know, the Royal Degree again, especially, you know, because of these slower formats. I could see myself running like Decree. but the Dark Kaiju as well for something like Herald, or, you know, those big floodgate monsters if you're paired up against, you know, like Dragon Link, Dark, Boral, and you need those Kaijus. So yes, short set, my own opinion, I'm a huge fan of these events, as in, you know, events that, you know, move away from the ladder, the move away from the mini game of Maxi and Ash Blossom, and I like that, you know, a lot of bigger decks are weakened, but it feels that some decks here for this particular event feel a little bit too powerful still. Chaos Ruler is also unlimited. I mean, it's also still legal, plus Tier is almost unhindered, with Kid Kalo still legal, etc. So access code is also there. So short set, I would probably lean more towards Dark, maybe so going second, and, you know, potentially, again, we want to get this done the quickest with stuff like access code, Chaos Angel, and Masquerina, if you're forced going first, Anaconda, Unicorn access code, that's strong going second. Okay, so did I overlook something? Definitely let me know. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Liam signing out. Peace.